The star of YouTube, this is Heritage and this is my Spider-Man Far From Home review. Just a little admission here first. I actually I missed about 5 minutes of this because thanks to a bunch of idiots at the cinema, it took so long to actually get in. Like I got there on time, usually like 20 minutes of ads before you get in. It still was on by the time I got in because these guys are taking up so much time just ordering stuff and getting tickets for films hours in advance. I don't know what they were doing at that fair. So I can only really talk about my review the bit from when Betty Brant and her co-anchor were talking about the blip, which is what they're calling the Great Disappearance or the snap from Avengers Infinity War. As per usual though, this is going to be the non-spoiler section just to give you my general impressions of the films, what I think about it and whether it's worth going to see. And I gotta say, as someone who's not a huge Spider-Man fan, although I do really like what Tom Holland's take on it is and the world they've set up with the kind of a John Hughes type comedy to it. I really liked it. I have to admit, it was great. I was a bit at first thinking, I'm not quite sure, because like I said, were they going to rely too much on that? But the comedy stuff kind of eases out pretty quickly into the mainline action and they really handle Mysterio well. And it was just, I really enjoyed it. I give it a solid 8.5 maybe out of 10. Just to say that, like, I don't want to overegg it. Like I said, like, I'm not a huge fan of it now, but I mean, like, of the character, I mean. But I have to say, the more the film went on, the more I really enjoyed it. And that's always a good sign. And it's 2 hours, 10 minutes long. It flew. You know, like, and I don't know if there's 2 after credit scenes or not, because I didn't stay for the second one, but there is definitely one, you know, like just after the kind of animated type credits that they have at the, you know, at the end of the film. Stick around for that one. That's brilliant, particularly if you're a Sam Raimi Spider-Man fan, because there's a guy they bring in there who will make you smile. That's all I'll say. But yeah, definitely Spider-Man Far From Home. It's really strange. This is a Sony film, so this is part of the Sony deal with Marvel, and I think this feels a hell of a lot more like an MCU film than, say, Captain Marvel has been. It's certainly got more heart. It's certainly more stylish. It really works. The comedy in it is fantastic. Nothing overwhelming. Like, I mean, you're not going to be falling around the place laughing at like Deadpool or something like that. But it is, you know, you will chuckle, you will laugh, you will smile, you'll get the jokes, you get the references, and there's a lovely endearing heart to it. It works well as a romance as well in relation to Peter's relationship with MJ. And it's, like I said, if you're just there for the Spider-Man action, it more than delivers on that front too. So Spider-Man Far From Home, it looks amazing. Like, the effects are brilliant, I think. There's certain CGI looks a bit ropey, but I have a feeling that's a stylistic choice because Mysterio's powers as illusions and stuff like that. So they want to give you an idea that what you're seeing here is an illusion. You know, like, I'm not spoiling what to say that he's a villain, been rocking around for ages. That's what his power is. But so there are sequences like that that are obviously not real in inverted commas, but I think it works very well, and they do some really interesting stuff with that. So I'd say 8.5 out of 10. Really enjoyed it. Really delivered. I really like the Sony's take on this thing working with Marvel. They come up with something unique, and the formula works. You know, like I said, it still has that John Hughes feel to it. That, you know, it's got a kind of a One Crazy Summer type vibe. The Better Off Dead. You know, those sort of films, and it really works as a kind of a teen comedy as well as an action superhero film. So there you go. That's me non-spoiler review of it. Definitely worth seeing. If you're a Spidey fan, you're going to get a great blast out of it. They do reference a lot of stuff that happens in Endgame, so there's a lot of kind of crossover with that, you know, with that film and how that pans out. So it's really, as I said, like, it really works well considering it's a Sony film. You know, it really does work well in the MCU mythos. So there you go, non-spoiler review. Definitely go see it. If you're a Spidey-Man fan, I think you're going to love it. You know, like, so it's good. So there you go. Now on to the spoiler section. So spoilers from now on. If you don't want to be spoiled, knock off. This is, you know, this is as far as you're going to get. I thought this was really, really good. They did some very interesting stuff with Mysterio. I think marketing has actually been really on their game in this film, because I wasn't actually sure myself whether Mysterio was going to be a villain, because they had actually intimated that he's from an alternate Earth and that he's come over here to try and save us from the forces that had destroyed his Earth. And he's kind of heavily implying that he's a combination of Doctor Strange and Iron Man. And when we meet him, he's working with Nick Fury, you know, like, so, I mean, it does look like it's on the up and up. So I got to give him credit for that. Anybody who's not a Spider-Man fan, who doesn't know Mysterio from Adam, will be shocked when he's revealed to be a villain. And, you know, like not just a villain, but a villain working with a group of people who are perpetrating these massive illusions to try and portray him as the next Iron Man, basically, an Avengers in waiting, so to speak. And I got to give him massive kudos for that, because this is where they really tie in to the Marvel Universe, because one of his cohorts in this is the guy that Obadiah Stane was shouting at in Iron Man 1 when he told him that, you know, Tony Stark built the Iron Man suit, you know, in a cave with a box of scraps. That guy is actually working with Mysterio. Mysterio himself is actually revealed to be the guy who came up with the technology that Tony Stark, you know, displays in Civil War, when he has the holographic little scene where his father and his parents, where he gets to say goodbye to them and that he loves them, you know, like where he called it the barf, which he took massive offense to and decided that, you know, from then on he was going to try and get his own recognition. He felt like he was underappreciated by Tony Stark, because that's why Quentin actually works for Stark on that tech. And I thought that was a really interesting, you know, really clever tie into those films. They really did kind of pull the sense of the MCU into this without being over the top. And his whole plan basically is to try to get his hand on Edith. And Edith is this, basically what Tony has bequeathed to Peter. As you've seen in the trailers, it's the glasses he puts on, you know, like it allows him to hook into the Stark mainframe, to the satellites, to a whole host of technologies to got at his disposal, sorry. And chief of this is a virtual army of drones that he can be launched from orbit anywhere in the world that can either engage in espionage or assault or policing. And he you know, in fairness to the villain, he actually succeeds. He actually convinces Peter to actually hand over the tech to him as he steps up as supposedly the new Iron Man. And I have to admit, it was a very clever twist in the whole thing. What's really interesting, though, is how they play on the emotional tones of this film. Because, like I said, it's set after Endgame. Peter's feeling very guilty about the loss, and he's feeling keenly the sorrow of losing Tony Stark, who's basically a surrogate figure for him in these films. And like I was saying earlier on in the non-spoiler sections about how Mysterio uses illusion, this is done to actual beautiful effect in how he manipulates Peter in some particular scenes. Like, for instance, there's one absolutely, it's fantastic looking scene where he basically, it's like a kaleidoscope of images and illusions that are thrown at Peter in order to disorient him, trying to throw him off base and to manipulate him emotionally. And one of them is where he ends up on his knees in front of a tombstone which says Anthony Edward Stark, and he basically berates him, saying that he'd let him down and how he'd be so disappointed in him. And this is the stage then where you see an Iron Man gauntlet punch up through the grave as a zombified Tony Stark comes out with spiders pouring out of his half-eaten skull to traumatize Peter. It's just amazing. I don't know how they actually got away with that in the kids' film. And that's just one of the things that they throw at him. It's really good. And like I said, if you're in this for the action and all that, it's all there. If you're there for the more emotional parts for Peter, like in terms of the romantic thing with him and MJ, she does find out that he's Spider-Man. She kind of suspected all along, and let's be honest, I mean, it's pretty obvious. But they do actually address, like, the snap, as I was saying, that there is a character in that class that's 5 years older than everyone else. And it's kind of a running joke that when they all disappeared, he was like this fat, snivelling little lad with, you know, a runny nose. And now he's like 18 and totally ripped, you know, like, and all the girls fancy him. And it is funny the way that they reference things that go on in, like, Endgame. That is a subplot where basically that guy fancies MJ and she really likes him, and it's just, there's supposed to be playing off a kind of a love triangle thing, but you know, in the end of the day, Peter's always going to end up with her, and that's what happened in this film. It was funny though to see Peter's best friend hook up with Betty Branto for the whole course of the film. And another thing as well, we've noticed in a lot of films that have been coming out lately that there's been a lot of kind of world hopping, you know, kind of jumping from country to country to country. We've seen it in Men in Black, we've seen it in John Wick, and a few other films this year that they seem to have this theme of kind of global world hopping and going from country to country. It actually works in this. It's kind of tied around that it is a a school trip where they're going from like to Venice to Paris to Prague to the Netherlands to London, and it's actually kind of a running joke that a lot of this has been organised on the side by Nick Fury, who's trying to get Peter in the right place at the right time in order to perform a job. But it as I said, it's not as egregious a thing as I've seen in those other films where it just seemed to be they were doing it randomly. Like particularly in Men in Black, they were just going from place to place just to have something happen. In this, it's organic, it works well, and it does make you laugh when you see Peter end up in different places. Like when you see him in the black outfit, which I actually thought was the noir one from the computer games, that's actually called himself the Night Monkey in France, and it just takes off. And he's considered to be some sort of copycat for him. I mean, I will say that the script in this is very good. And case in point, like I said, in the first couple of arcs where you're not quite sure if Mysterio is a villain or not, they really play him straight. They really play him as a hero. And he has an almost big brother feel to him. And you can almost surrogate Tony Stark. You can actually see that. So it's really well constructed. It doesn't seem long at all. It's got a great heart to it. Like there's lovely bits where we find out now that Happy is actually dating May, and all the sorts of tensions that caused between Peter and him. And there's some lovely moments where they manage to evoke, Tony's, particularly Robert Downey Jr. to be honest with you. And there's a moment in the airplane where he's constructing the new Spider-Man suit where Happy just looks at him, and he's thinking about the time he's seen Tony build, suit after suit in the Malibu penthouse. So, and they even actually bring in the Men in Black AC/DC song from, so it really, heart touching and warming in that regard. Like I said, I was really surprised at just how strong that aspect of it was, like the script and the storyline. This is really good. So, I mean, I can't, fault it. Go to see this film. It is very good. It's getting great reviews on Rotten Tomatoes on that. I think it's in the 90s at some stage. I'm not quite sure what the critics are saying, but to be honest, I'm not looking at them anymore. But the one thing I will say as well, as I said earlier, stay around for the post-credit scenes, because what they do is pure genius. They bring in J. Jonah Jameson. And he's working for dailybugle.com, and they play him as a kind of an InfoWars Alex Jones type figure, which works incredibly well. And the great thing is that they're playing a kind of a conspiracy thing where basically what happened was Mysterio, who dies by the end of this film, there's a major spoiler for you there. He actually, before he passes away, manages to, or if it wasn't him, it was his one of his peer group that was recording what was going on, managed to rejig a load of footage to make it look like Spider-Man was responsible for the attacks on London and that he actually murdered Mysterio, who J. Jonah is putting up as the greatest hero in the world. So it's working really. And they end up that film. Peter actually sees this on the big screen in Times Square in New York. And, his last words is, what the f... Just like in the end of Homecoming when May walked in on him. But what's really brilliant is the person they get to play J. Jonah is the same guy in the Sam Raimi films, which for the life of me, I just can't remember his name right now. He also played Jim Gordon in Justice League. But it's fantastic. And when I seen him, my face just lit up. It was just such a good nod of the head to the long-time fans of Spider-Man. So there you go. That's my review of Spider-Man Far From Home. It's very good, really enjoyable. Like I said, works as a superhero film, works as a teen comedy, works as a romance. So there's something there for everybody. I can see this doing quite well, and I can't really give it more credit than I can think of. So there you go. It's about 8.5 out of 10. You'll have a blast. You'll enjoy yourself, and just get out there. That's all I can say. So there you go. If you like this video, share, like, and subscribe. Take care, guys. Look after yourselves.